Hey guys, Dan the man with Raulston Acres. You know, so far in these videos, we've talked about laying off the rows. We've talked about some of the equipment that we've used, but we haven't really talked about actually planting the plants. Stay right here and we'll talk about that. Dan the man with Raulston Acres again. I just wanted to show you a little bit about our planting. We've talked a little bit about row spacing and this kind of thing in previous videos, but I wanted to show you exactly how we do it here. Now, everybody does it different. Some people do it on 8x8, some by 7x8, like we said before. I do mine, try to as close to 7x7 spacing as I can, 7 foot by 7 foot. And what we're doing today is sort of showing how we line things off. So with that, I'm going to probably have to do this by hand and sort of show you exactly how we do it. But as you can probably see, I don't know if you can pick this up real well, we have strung a line along right here, along the edge of the field where we're going to be planting the trees. And then what we did, we have measured 7 feet between each little place that we're going to plant. Now, how do we know where we're going to drill a hole? We we spray a little dot. Now, I was going to show you, let me reach right here and get this right here. This is what we use. This is a Rust-Oleum product. You can get it at pretty much any hardware store. It don't even have to be Rust-Oleum. It could be any kind of marking paint. We use construction marking paint. And one of the things that we do use is a water-based paint. Now, that has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is the water, after it rains a time or two, it dissipates and goes into the soil and it's gone. However, there are some cans out there that are oil-based, which the downside of it's going to stay there on top of the ground longer, but it does hold up. If you're planting and maybe you have a rain and you have to wait a day or two, you can still see the mark because the oil will hold right there on it. Water-based, it will sort of dissipate a little bit and you have to be careful. It won't last much longer than a week if you have any kind of rain. So with that said, what we'll do, I'm hoping you can see this, but what we do is we spray a little dot. We try to get up under the string here that keeps us in a straight line, and we will spray that paint wherever we're going to drill a hole. And then we will use a drill, and I'll show you, I think I showed you that in a previous, well, there it is right over here. It's sitting right over here. It's actually a drill on wheels. You can use a hand drill if you want to. I've seen some people do that, or you can use a tractor with an auger on the back. That's what I had started using when I first got started. But because we plant 1 trade gallon plants, we try to get at least a 5 to 6 inch drill bit, auger. So whatever you can use to hold that up, that's fine. We dig it about as deep as the dirt is in the pot. We're going to say about maybe 6 inches, 7 inches. If we have to fill in or take out, we can. But I want to try to keep the plant pretty much at ground level. But that's what we do in setting it up. And we'll show you some more drilling in just a second. That's good. And that's all I'm going to show right there. Okay, now just keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Since I couldn't show the actual planting on video because we have already planted it at this time of the year, I wanted to show you a couple of photos here, snapshots that we took. And if you'll notice in these snapshots, it shows the root ball of the of the plant that we took out of the 1 gallon trade. and the trade pot rather, and it also shows the roots. If you can look very closely, you can see those roots are very intertwined there in that root ball, and that's what you want before you plant these trees in the ground. And then as we plant the trees in the ground, you see where we're putting the tree in the hole right about dirt level of what the dirt in the pot was. So that gives you a little bit of a glimpse of actually how to put the tree in the ground. Okay, we've got the plants planted. They're in the ground, but here comes the wind. You know, in where we live here in the southeastern United States, sometimes in April, which, you know, in March, May, June, July, I just go on and on. You know, we may have a thunderstorm come up and the wind sort of blows and it'll blow these plants around. There's two schools of thought about once these plants get in the ground as to what we're going to do to stabilize the plants. Yes, the roots are in the ground, but when the wind comes by, they will blow, and sometimes you get into a situation where they start to grow and they what they call, it's not really called a J root, but they sort of come up with a curved root or excuse me, it's curved stem instead of the root. And you know, that isn't really as attractive to the customer as a straight stem, you know, trunk for the tree. But what we have talked about the schools of thought, you know, some people say just leave them alone, come back and straighten them up, come back and straighten them up, and come back and straighten them up. But uh, we sort of take a little different approach to it. We stake these trees. We put a stake. I don't know if you can see this, but we put a stake about, it's about a 3-foot stake. We put it about maybe an inch or so away from the tree and put it in the ground. As you can see, some of these right here are that way, this one right here. And then we take either some type of tie. A lot of times we'll just take some ribbon. Sometimes it's like a twist tie, and we will loosely tie that tree to the stake, and it sort of gives it some stability. Now, these happen to be bamboo stakes. That's what I use. Some people like to use metal stakes, almost like a small rebar. I see some people today have used fiberglass stakes. The fiberglass is more expensive, but not as expensive as the metal. The metal stakes are expensive, but you can use them over and over and over. The bamboo, not so much. Once it's used, it sort of deteriorates out in the field. And matter of fact, that's one of the things I like about it. These things run about, oh, I don't know, somewhere around a nickel a piece, maybe 4 cents a piece. And when you put them in the ground, you know, after 4 years, the tree's up about this high. A lot of times these bamboo stakes are just about dissipated. And if they haven't, then, you know, all you do is just take them apart from the tree, and they actually are tied to the tree. Uh, and sometimes a customer will take them out. Sometimes we'll take them out at the tree prep area. If a customer asks about it, we just say, well, that's what helps make the tree stay straight and give it stability. Uh, and sometimes if we see the tree is growing straight and everything's fine, we just pull the stake up and go throw it away. But you know, like I said, everybody's doing something a little different there. I see a lot of people use stakes. I see a lot of people use the metal. Uh, Whichever is the most cost effective for you, whatever works for you, that's what I found that we should do, is whatever works for you. So I just wanted you to see we do have these stakes. You know, like I said, it basically just gives the stability to the tree. And you know, once the tree is in the ground, that gives these roots time to get out. It sort of keeps them from, you know, moving around too much. I know the roots are not going to move, but it just, I don't know. I just think it helps the tree. That's myself. That's my opinion. I have really no scientific results or data that would back this up, other than I just like the way that it's is. Now, some people will go to the point of actually staking them in the pot before you plant. I don't quite go that far. I have done it before, especially if I'm going to keep a tree into maybe a 3-gallon pot. But usually the stakes don't come until we actually get them in the ground. Now, One other thing I wanted to mention, you don't have to stake every tree. We do a lot, you know, as you can see out here, if you pan around, well, we've got several stakes, just about one with every tree. But what happens if you've got a tree that's standing up straight, everything looks good, you know, it hasn't moved around? You don't have to stake it. But I like it. I like doing that. But like I said, every farmer is going to have a little different take on this. That's just my take. So thank you. I just wanted you to see that about once you get them planted, what do you do about staking? One other question that we have posed to us from time to time is, okay, when you're planting trees, which is the best time of the year to plant? Is it a fall planting? Is it a springtime or late winter planting? Which is best? Well, I'm not a scientist. I just go by what Christmas tree farmers have told me and what I have had good experience doing. I personally like the late winter, early spring planting. I try to start planting my window for planting. I start looking at the weather anytime between New Year's and about the 1st of April. Now, some people say, well, I want my trees in by February. Well, that's good. I want my trees in by March. That's good too. I think a lot of this you have to sort of play your cards by the weather. You know, if you're going to have a lot of rain in the January February time frame, you know, you might want to hold off on your planting then. I know the trees are dormant, and that's what I like about planting in the late winter, early spring is they're dormant. They don't they're not woke up yet, so to speak. But um, the they don't like wet feet. Okay, they don't like for the roots to stay wet. And sometimes in our area, we might get rainy days that last for, you know, a good week, where it rains about every other day and the fields stay wet. And that's really not a good time to plant trees if it's really too wet. But there's usually a window there somewhere between, you know, the first part of January and the 1st of April that you can get the weather to cooperate, and you can have 2 or 3 weeks, maybe more, that you can get these trees in the ground without them being planted in soil that's too wet. Um, and the good thing about my farm here, we've got a little bit of a hillside in places, and that sort of lets the water run off, and those hills usually dry out a little bit quicker than uh, what I call more bottom land. But what about fall planting? You know, I have had questions about that. Well, here's the thing about fall planting. Some people can get away with it, and that's great. If you've got the right weather for that, that's fine. I don't even have the time for it because I'm getting ready for my sales season in the fall. But if you decide that you want to do a fall planting, that's fine. Just be careful that you have enough moisture in the ground. You know, we battle it in the winter time or early spring trying to plant, and we're sometimes getting too much rain. Whereas in the fall, especially in my neck of the woods here, we can go for several days without any rain at all, and the fields can dry, and the moisture content that you really want for these new trees isn't quite optimum. So fall planting, you sort of have to uh, be careful and watch that you have enough moisture. But here's the thing about, and I'm not a scientist, but this is something I can consider. You know, they're in the fall, these trees are still growing. They're still vibrant. They haven't gone into that dormant state yet. And you're going to put them in the ground, and are they going to have enough time to spread their roots out before they go dormant? Or are they going to just get in the ground and sit there being dormant? I'm not a scientist. I majored in math in college, not, not, not botany or plant science. But from talking to farmers that grow the varieties that we do, they like the late winter, early spring planting because the trees are in the ground, but they're coming out of dormancy, and they're going to have several months for their roots to start spreading out and getting into the soil and start growing. and that's important. I think that's important. But you know, some people say, well, I've got to have some fall plants in because of the timing of everything that we do. That's great. I'm not sure there's a right way and a wrong way. I just think the odds are better myself with a late winter, early spring planting as opposed to a fall planting. There again, I've seen people have success in both schools of thought. Folks, in the last few videos that we've done, we've concentrated on getting started in the Christmas tree business, starting your Christmas tree farm. We've looked at layouts. We've looked at laying the rows. We've looked at the equipment that you use. We've looked at several things that you have to consider before you even start. Then we've even looked at the varieties. We've looked at how you plant plants. We've looked at staking. All these things have come to this point. And what I'd like to do in the future videos is to use some of the content that you, the viewers, have asked us to cover, and also to give you an idea of what we do here on a weekly basis. You know, I'm going to try to get you the information as to what we do here and try to cover our mowing, try to cover our shearing or trimming of the trees, try to cover all the different things that we might do here at Raulston Acres. So as we go on into the videos, you'll be able to follow us along all the way to our Christmas season. And hopefully by the time we get to the Christmas season, we will have several videos under our belt, and you guys will have a lot of information. So with that said, thank you very much. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We certainly appreciate it. No cost to you. It only helps us. And we will see you next time on Farming Around the Christmas Tree.